All right, guys, welcome back to the Firebrand Show. My name is Billy.
And I'm Ashley.
And we are so excited to have you join us. If you never met us, welcome.
Welcome.
Very, very nice to have you with us as we talk about all things faith-based.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the show. Before we sit down with our guest today, which I'm really excited for you guys to hear from our guest today. Before we do, what is something on, I'm just curious, because I have found something recently that annoys me, but I want to know from you. What is something on social media, a trend you have seen that
I know which way you're going already.
Annoys you? What way am I going?
Skibbity toilet.
It's not just skibbity toilet. It's this whole concept of skibbity. Like, what does that mean?
So it's, let me just give you a preface.
You know?
So it started.
Wait, Billy is not on social media, so the fact that he is aware of this, give me the history. And if you're wrong,
I don't know
guys,
all of
correct
it.
him.
I don't know all of it, but this is what I know.
Okay.
Okay. So it started with a YouTuber who created these a series of things, and it started with a song. So you meshed two songs together. Okay. And you've seen the song.
Okay.
It was on our TV while we had friends over the other day.
Okay.
It goes.
How?
And there's like a and there's like a weird creepy face in the toilet.
Oh my gosh, this is that?
So that's skibbity toilet, and the phrase
skibbity.
Yes.
Is what?
Well, skibbity toilet.
Yeah.
It means bad, or like
bad.
So
something.
it's associated with Ohio as well.
Stop it.
And you know the trend about Ohio.
I'm from Ohio. If you all didn't know that, I think we've said it a few times.
So skibbity toilet.
Why?
I don't know
Ohio
why.
is not bad. Ohio is beautiful. We just spent 2 weeks there this past
I don't
summer.
know where it came, where Gen Z came up and said, let's just take this term and use it and call it bad. But that's kind of where it came
skibbity toilet
from.
is bad toilet.
Well, it just means bad.
Oh, but it's not related to the object it's talking about?
No.
So I can't be like skibbity iPad.
No. You said you could say that iPad is skibbity toilet. But
hold on.
I mean,
I'm not understanding. I'm going to go to TikTok. I love you.
Okay.
And I'm
while she's
grateful
going to
for
TikTok,
you.
There's so many words that just don't make sense, but I feel like for my generation, there were also words that didn't make sense, so I can't be mad.
Wait, literally skibbity toilet song comes up as the first thing.
Yes, that's where it started.
Okay, I'm really concerned. I can't. I got to research this later. I'm going to fall down a rabbit hole on
Okay,
TikTok.
what's another thing that bothers you?
That
trend
is the only thing so far.
That's it?
What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really on social media that much.
You're not, but you know what skibbity is.
To be bothered by it.
Oh my gosh, that's so annoying.
We're youth pastors. I have to know what certain things are.
I don't, and I'm crushing the game.
I mean, we can't be like Pastor Joe and think Riz means charisma.
Oh yeah,
and if you Jesus had Riz. If you never see that episode, go back and watch it.
It's in season
1 with Joe and Danielle Pena.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But,
anyway, all right. Well, let's culture ourselves. We have our guest that we're going to join. That's going to join us. So let's go. Welcome back to the show, guys. We are really excited. We have our friend Gary Garcia here, all the way from bright, sunny Southern California, the promised land, if you will. That's what I call it. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you?
Yeah, I am the executive youth director for Assemblies of God, Southern California, and I also pastor a church in Orange County area called Cornerstone. So yeah, this is year 33. 33 in youth ministry. Love it. It's amazing. Yeah.
When you say that, do you ever go, man, Jesus died at 33?
Yeah.
Is this my year of ministry? What is going to happen? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I never dreamed it would last this long.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
Yeah. And a lot of that's in youth ministry. All of that has been in youth ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even while you lead pastor.
Yeah. So the first 2 years I lead pastor, I still oversaw the youth ministry, and then when I took over as the executive youth director, I had to pass something off, so we got a youth pastor in there, and so he's doing that, and I was able just to focus on the church and especially focus on our our SoCal student stuff.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. We love being part of the SoCal network.
Yeah.
That's what beat us through. So.
Quick question: what put the fire in your heart for youth ministry,
That's a good
and
question.
what kept you going for this long?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't see it coming. It was never on my radar. Ministry has never been on my radar as a teenager, especially. And I had no pastors in my family. My dad's not a pastor, and so wasn't even something I was thinking about. Got saved at 17. Started helping out in the youth group at 18. The youth pastor at the time brought me in to help with junior high. A few months later, he left. He left the church, and the worship leader left the church. There was a church split. The board asked me to step in to be the youth pastor, and they said just till we find someone else. And I'm like, okay, I'm 19,
That's how it always
had no
starts.
schooling, nothing
Can you just
at
do
all.
this, please?
And so I said I would do it. That was when I was 19, and it was pretty quickly after that I just felt God just say, "This is what I have for you. This is what you're called to do." And I just knew there's two things. One, I'm not that guy. Like, we all have that friend who's just good at anything. Like, if they whatever they pick up, they're good at. They're surfing, skiing, instruments. They're just naturally good at whatever they do. I've never been that guy. But youth ministry, for whatever reason, was that thing that I just took to it.
That's natural.
I love students. And probably the other thing, longevity-wise, and why I've been in it so long, is I always wanted to be a youth pastor that saw my students through their high school, junior high years. In youth ministry, like, I went to church my whole life. I really wasn't saved till 17, but I was in church my whole life. Between junior high and high school, I had 5 youth pastors at one church. And I just never wanted to be that guy. That just kind of youth pastored for a moment and left. I wanted to see students finish their entire school career with me, and so we were able to do that multiple times.
Yeah, it's the best when you like actually see a student graduate and you're like, I saw you as a 6th grader. Yeah, and I can't imagine being in the. I mean, we're in our 30s, right? So like we're getting there where we're gonna see students graduate college and get married. Like, that's such a weird. Like, it's so weird when you're like, I've seen you since you were this age.
I have students from my very first year in youth ministry who are grandparents now.
Oh my gosh.
That's just crazy.
That is absolutely insane. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Well, your story actually kind of ties in. It actually does tie into this whole thought of giving up control. And, you know, we become a believer and we're like, I'm giving up my control to God, yet we still try to control it. We still try to control to some element what God does with our life. We're like, well, I'm going to orchestrate these pieces and I'm going to submit to his will, but I'm still going to control this. And for you, 19, you were asked, like, hey, can you be the youth pastor? It's just for a moment, but, you know, when is it ever just for a moment? And so you just fully gave up control of your life at that moment, and now look where it's kind of taken you. So that's pretty cool. Like, it ties into what we're going to talk about today. And so I want to start out with a scripture, which is Matthew 10:39. And it just says this: whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. I think your life has done that. I think you've done that well. Like, you've lost your life in like the best way for the sake of God's call in your life. And so giving up control, can you just talk about that? What that journey has been like for you? What, like, the things that you've learned throughout that? Like, starting at 19, like 19 and giving up control of your life.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a new thing for me. Even when I was younger, the thought of standing in front of people every week and preaching and doing that, like, that would have never crossed my radar. And so it's really getting to that place of just, you know, and when I was 19 and I felt that call, my goal was always to be a police officer or fireman. That was my entire life. That was what I wanted to do. So it was just like, as soon as I graduated high school, I went to college, started taking fire science classes and criminal justice classes because I knew one of the two is where I was going to land. I went through the process to join Orange County Sheriff's Department, passed the written test. All I had to do was pass the physical agility test. I took our students to a winter camp. I took them up on Friday. The plan was to drive back down Saturday, take the test, and then meet them back up there. That Friday night, I was at the altar with our students and just for the first time really heard the audible voice of God almost, not literally, but it was as clear as it could be is the God saying to me, this is what I have for you. This is what I want you to do. And I didn't even go back down the hill the next day. I knew at that point, okay, I don't know what this looks like, but okay, God, my life is yours, and this is what you want me to do. I'll do it. And I had no idea what to do next. I had no idea, like, what do I do now? Like, do I go to Vanguard? Do I go? I did not know what to do. And so even that was a journey. I remember telling my dad, and when I got home, like, I'm going to be a youth pastor. And I remember his first response was, there's no money in that. You need to really think about that. And he's right. There's no money in it whatsoever. But it was getting to that place of saying, okay, God, my life is yours. And what's crazy is I did that, and I've done that multiple times since then, where I've just had to continue to say, okay, God, my life is yours. It's your will, not my will. And that's hard because it's human nature to do your will. But as believers, to get to that place of saying, okay, God, and I still battle that, and all of us do it. There's times when I have to say, okay, God, your will, not my will. And so it's just giving up that control, saying, okay, God, your will, whatever it is, your will be done.
Yeah, that's so good. It not similar to my story, but we've shared like how I came into feeling the call into youth ministry. Like, we had talked about this in a previous episode. Like, you don't remember the speaker, you don't remember the all the fancy things that happen in like a conference or a service, but you remember that experience you had with God. That's what you hold on to. And at 15 years old is when I felt God's calling on my life to be a part of youth ministry. And I can say firsthand, like, I took years away from God's plan for my life because I thought I had a better plan. And I tried to do everything in my own power, thinking I knew what was best for me. And more often than I can remember, it led me down paths that I know that I should not have been down. And then to the point where God protected me, like, multiple times from my self-destruction, you know? And so as you get older, you start to see it, but to be able to kind of grasp that idea of you're not the main character, and you have to allow God to work through you to be able to see his goodwill and good works happen. Whenever you can do that, and I didn't do that when I was young. I had the call when I was 15, but I walked away from it, and then eventually came back to when I was 21, 22. And it was at that moment, like in those few years leading up to that, is where I met Ashley, where I, fully allowed myself to be used by God, and in that kind of sphere of submitting my life, that's when all these different doors open up. That's when, he started to, release things into my life. And it's a hard pill to swallow. Saying, like, what, I don't know what's best for myself. God, your will be done for me. But it's the best thing that you can do for yourself in the long run, and in, when it comes to the people around you. It kind of, they see the difference when you go from serving yourself to serving God. And it's not something the world can offer.
And I like this thought keeps coming in my mind that, like, when you give God control, you're actually giving yourself the gift of self-control. And as human beings, like, again, we want to have control, but we control it in the ways that, like, I'll control this, Lord, so you just control that piece. But when you give total control to God, you are giving yourself the gift of self-control, meaning you now know how to you're guided by the right thing, and you have the right boundaries to get you to where God wants you to go. You're able to work with his spirit, and you're still a little bit in control. He gives you free will, but you're doing it with partnership with him, not separated from him. And I think that's the biggest difference. Like, you can still have a little bit of control over your life. You could still choose a little bit with the Lord. Absolutely. There's not this, like, oh, now I'm like a slave. It's not that kind of mentality, because that's not who God is.
But there's so much to learn from the people that are in front of you in life. The whole idea of giving up control is so countercultural to the world. Like what the Bible says, like in Matthew 16:24 says, deny yourself. Like the whole idea of denying yourself is just not what it's not what's being poured into them right now. It's all about you, and it's all about what you can do, and you create your own future, and you need me time, and all of these things that this generation this stuff's being poured into. And so Scripture's so opposite of that. But when you do that, and again, you realize what God can do, and that's why I think it's so important that young people are being mentored and poured into by youth pastors, by youth leaders, by youth workers that can show them like examples of like, look what happens when you just deny yourself and say, okay, God, you're in control. Is it hard? Yes, it's hard, but it is hard to follow Christ. That's part of it, and they have to realize that too. It's not the easy thing, but the beauty in it is incredible when you deny yourself.
100%. Yeah, I want to ask you, looking back on your life and all of those moments you gave up control to God, what is like the one thing that you would have wished you would have done differently?
I wish I would have figured it out sooner. I think, again, I was 17. That was great, but I spent the majority of my high school years not serving the Lord, and I knew the truth. I'd grown up in church, prayed the prayer when I was a little kid, went to youth group, went to kids programs. I grew up in church. Like church has always been part of my life, but I did not fully understand what it was to be a follower of Christ. Until that moment when I was 17 years old. And that was in April of my senior year. And so I look back at all of those moments, all of those people. And what's cool is, I'm 52 now. I've been out of high school a long time. But right now in life, just like recently, old high school friends have been popping back into my life, knowing what I'm doing, knowing what life's, what I'm doing in life now. And I've had this opportunity, like this second chance to do some of those things. But I would love to go back and do that differently. And I mean, there's so many different moments in our life we probably would feel that away. But I want to be a really good follower of Christ. And part of that is learning how to let go, learning how to give up certain things. And part of that is just saying, okay, God, my life is yours. That's a big thing to say. My life is yours.
Not parts of it.
Yes.
All of it.
Yes. And that's hard for anybody to do, no matter what age you are. We know people that have gotten saved in their 30s, 40s. And I think at times that's even harder, because you're already established to be able to say, my life is yours, you have to
unlearn a lot of things when you're later in life. And to be young and to be able to say, God, my life is yours, and run after that, like fully. Yeah. Like I look back and I'm like, man, if I would have just got it. Because I'm the same. I was raised in the church, right? But knowing Jesus and following Jesus are very different things. And so I wish I would have learned to follow Jesus and be his disciple and not just like a churchgoer. I want to ask you one last question, and it's to parents that are listening, because we do have some parents that watch with their families or have written in and asked from time to time maybe this question. And the question is, as a parent, how do you give up control to God and trust him with your kids?
It's not easy. It's probably the hardest thing to do, and I've had to do it multiple times. One, when our daughter was younger, she's 24 now, but when she was 3, she had epilepsy, and she wasn't, she might have been born with it, but it didn't establish itself until she was 3, and she started having seizures and stuff. And there was a moment where she had to have brain surgery, and it was this huge ordeal in our family, and just what could happen. And they kept telling us, she could lose all of her memory, she could lose the ability to speak. All of these things, and so that was one of these moments where I really had to. I was mad at God, and I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And through that anger, through that kind of back and forth with God, He revealed this to me, and again, I almost audibly just said, "Gary, she's mine, not yours." She's mine, not yours. And I've had to repeat that to myself. Now my kids are my youngest is 19, my oldest is 30. All through those years, there's been so many times where I've had to continue to repeat that. She's mine, not yours. And it's hard because you're going to have moments, and I've had moments where my kids, I have 3 kids, and they're all in 3 different journeys in their walk with God. And and so especially as a pastor, to have a child who's maybe not serving the Lord, that's really hard. And can I tell you, that's where it really gets hard to say, okay, Lord, your will be done. she's mine, not yours.
Yeah.
He's mine, not yours. And trust the Lord with whatever happens, knowing that you can't control that. You can't make that happen. As much as you want to do that, as parents, there's times when we literally have to say, Lord, they're yours. Your will be done.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we don't pray for them. It doesn't mean we don't love them. Doesn't mean we don't. But there are so many times as parents throughout childhood all the way into their adult years where you're going to have to really understand what it is to say, okay, Lord, your will be done. You have them.
Yeah. And understanding that as a parent, we have 3 kids, and you trust God every day when they go to school nowadays, when they're in the parking lot, you have to trust God at every moment. And I think back to man, did I have that same release of control as a teenager? No, I didn't. If I would have, man, what my life would have looked like. It's the lesson learned back. And so to parents that are watching, learn that now so that your kids can see that modeled too. Model that for your kids, that full surrender.
100%. If I could tell parents anything that I wish I would have done better, and maybe sometime we can do one just on parenting, because I could spend hours of this, is learn to disciple your kids. We pass a lot of things off in life when it comes to our kids. We'll let someone else teach them schooling. We'll let a youth pastor think they're discipling them. We can't let go of those things. We have to disciple our kids. We have to learn to do that, and then trust the Lord with them. Everyone kind of relies on that verse. If you raise up a child in the way they should go, they will never leave. That's great, but that's a proverb, not a promise. And so I would encourage parents, don't just hold on to the fact that, hey, if I take them to church every Sunday, they'll turn out okay. That's important, and we do that. But disciple them. Live your life for Christ out in front of them. Let them see you pray. Let them see you, disciple and be discipled.
That's so good.
It's important.
Yeah, we definitely need a full parenting episode with Gary Garcia. That's so good. Yeah.
And just to kind of quickly add, it reminds me, just the faith to trust God. It reminds me of the story of Abraham and Isaac. Having the faith and willing to physically give your child to God, knowing that what he has in store is better. And so, that's not a recommendation to take your child up into a mountain, but getting to that place where you trust God to the point where your possessions on earth no longer matter, and it's about making sure that if he says something to you, you obey it. And so that's a hard thing to get to, but once you can grasp that as a parent, and once you can grasp that even as a teenager, it's not about me, it's about God. He'll be able to do so much through you.
That's good. Well, thank you for the conversation.
Of course.
Thanks
for having me.
If people want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Social media. Social media. I'm pretty easy to find on social media, whether it's my personal account or even SoCal Youth Pastors. I would love to connect.
That's great. Well, thank you, Gary.
All right, guys, that was such a great conversation. But we're going to have a little bit of fun now.
Okay.
Let's do it.
What are we doing?
So there's this game I've seen played by different people on social media. I say I'm not on social media, but I am.
You have all
in
the
the
good
same
games.
sentence. I just watch and follow people for fun stuff. I just look
Well,
at
that makes
social
you
media
a good youth pastor
as
because
entertainment.
you have fun segments planned for services and stuff like that.
So we're going to play a game called Same Word.
Okay.
So we're both going to start
I've seen this.
with whatever word that comes to our mind. And we have to find a way to get to the same word together without giving clues or anything.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
So
we start at the same word?
No.
Oh, we start separate words. We try to get at the same word.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. You ready?
Wait, can it be anything?
Anything.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm ready.
Okay. Hold on. Okay.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Children.
Green.
What'd you say?
Green?
Green?
Green and children.
I mean, okay. Green, children.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Shrek.
Elves.
Oh. Okay. I mean, that's
We're
not
getting
bad.
closer.
We're getting
I
closer.
think there are elves. No, there's
no.
little people.
Okay. Shrek and elves. Okay.
Shrek and elves.
Okay. I think I got it.
Yeah, I'm okay.
1, 2, 3.
Swamp.
Elf.
Okay. Well, we basically just switched movies.
Well, you
Elf
said
and
elves.
Swamp.
I was going with the,
Okay.
ogre in elves.
An ogre isn't an elf.
No, I'm saying, well, Will Ferrell.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So I have swamp.
You have swamp, and I said elf.
You got one?
Where are we going with this?
I don't know where you're going with this.
Okay.
Okay.
You said swamp. I said elf.
Okay. Okay. I feel good. I'm going like pretty generic just to get us back on track because we're a little off track right now.
All right, here we go.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. Washington,
Christmas.
D.C.
Okay. Christmas in D.C. Here we go.
Okay. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Red.
Rockefeller. That's New York, but close enough.
Rockefeller's in New York. I said
just thinking,
red
like,
because I was
Christmas.
like, I don't know. Did they light the Lincoln Memorial red for
No.
Christmas? Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so Rockefeller, red.
We are. Oh,
I got it.
okay.
I
think
it.
we got this one.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Bulb.
Christmas tree. We're getting closer.
Okay.
Okay, Rockefeller. Don't they put up like the big Christmas tree every year? You could have went with that because that's pretty obvious. A bulb.
Yeah, red.
1, 2, 3.
Traditions.
Presents. Oh, presents and tradition. Okay, I got it.
I don't know which way you're going.
Well, it's a tradition in our house.
Okay, it's got to be simple. One word. It can't be a. Yes.
Okay, hold
Even
on.
though I kind of gave multiple words for different things.
So traditions and
Okay,
Christmas.
I got it.
Christmas traditions.
What is one of the most common Christmas traditions?
You're talking
Christmas.
too much. Now we're gonna.
Christmas.
Okay.
Let me emphasize.
I feel like you are yelling.
Christmas. Traditions. Christmas. Not Christmas Eve. You said Christmas.
Okay.
Traditions. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Jesus.
Stockings.
Okay. I was going Jesus' birth. You said Christmas. You kept
Tradition.
emphasizing the Christ. So I'm like, oh, he means Christ.
That's
Jesus
the reason
Christ.
for the season. That's not a tradition.
No, I know. That's why I was so confused.
All right.
We know how good I am at these games. Okay. Where are we again?
I said stocking.
I
You
said Jesus.
Jesus. We're getting farther away now.
All right,
We need to
Jesus.
bring it back in.
Stocking.
All right, here we go. Jesus and stocking. Ooh, I got this. You ready?
No, but I'm just going to go
All
for
right.
it.
1, 2, 3.
Sandals.
Wise men.
Okay. Because I thought stocking
Presents. Jesus. Wise men.
tradition.
Come
Okay,
on.
so we're at sandals and wise men. Okay, but wise men were sandals. We're getting closer.
Yes and no.
All right, I got this. I know where I'm going now. Wise men, sandals. I feel like I don't really know how to play this game. I'm just saying words, so just go ahead.
We're trying to say the same word.
I'm getting there. Okay.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
Sandals and wise men. Okay.
All right, let's go.
Any word.
1,
Ready?
2, 3. Walk.
Travel. We're close. Okay.
Walk.
Travel.
Okay. How do we get to the same word from there?
I don't know because I don't know where to go from here.
From our experience,
Okay.
combining walking and traveling.
Okay.
Do you understand
I think so.
what I'm putting down?
I think so.
All right. Ready?
1,
2, 3. World race.
Yes! We did it. I'm so excited. Wow, that is much harder than I like on social media. They make it feel like it's
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's edited. Welcome to the world of
We
TV,
did it.
where we just do things here.
Yeah.
But
World race. We did it.
Yeah, that was such a cool experience.
Took us a while to get there.
It did take us. Yeah, I mean, we walked a long journey just to get on the world race.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
All right.
Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. And as we say all the time, if you are looking for a place to connect and ask questions about what you're hearing in our episodes every single week, you can reach out to us on Instagram at The Firebrand Show, or find us on TikTok and come hang out over there. YouTube, we're all over. We're all over.
The Firebrand Show. We make it nice and simple for you.
Nice and simple. Can't miss it. So we will see you guys in next week's episode. We just wanted to take a second to say thank you so much for watching The Firebrand Show.
Yeah, and for continuing to support us. And there's a few ways that you can do that simply by praying for The Firebrand Show. You can follow along and watch The Firebrand Show, and then you can also give towards The Firebrand Show.
That's right. And if you want to learn how you can partner with us and invest in the next generation, just go to ctnonline.com/Firebrand.
Yeah, you can also follow us on all social media platforms at The Firebrand Show, and just search The Firebrand Show on YouTube.